Hi, I'm Judith Harley and I'm the planning representative from Old Temple Cowley Residents Association. And I'm here today to highlight an issue with the Cowley Marsh Depot, who are planning to expand into the open space behind me, which is part of Cowley Marsh Park. This is part of the City Council's protected open space in the local plan. And as part, it used to have a children's recreation area, which was moved a couple of years ago. It's a very sheltered spot. As you can see, it's full of wildflowers, and the City Council has signed up to the National Pollinator Strategy, which is meant to protect wildflower meadows and the insects that take pollen from the plants. The council depot wishes to expand their recycling facilities and take over this part of the protected open space. They have submitted a planning application in which they say this is a very underutilised area, which is completely untrue and shows the lack of imagination on the Parks Department, who can't find a suitable use for this space. People walk here, people picnic here, people enjoy the wildflowers. It is a nice, quiet, sheltered spot, and people can enjoy watching the tennis in the courts opposite. We are asking you to oppose this planning application. You can still comment online until the 29th of July, or in writing to the Town Hall after that until the application is decided, because we think the council depot should keep within their existing confines and not take more of our protected open space. Their argument is that this is temporary, for 5 years, which seems a very long temporary to me. They're planning to put hardcore standing down, spend an awful lot of money getting it suitable for their recycling, and we don't believe that they will spend a lot of money returning it back to parkland at the end of it. So we do not believe the temporary issue. Despite that, the application is contrary to the local plan policies of the City Council, and we feel that it should be refused. If you want to look online to view the plans, you can go to the Oxford City Council website, www.oxford.gov.uk, look at the planning applications, and either type in Marsh Road, which is where the council depot's address is, and it should come up as the second or third planning application, or you can type in directly the planning reference, which is 15/01661/CT3. Please send in your objections to this, as we would like to keep the City Council to adhere to their own local plan policies and to keep this open space enjoyable for everybody, including the insects and wildlife and plants. Thank you.
So, Judith, thank you for that. As I understand it, though, this is quite a small space that is, well, there's very hardly anyone here at all this morning except ourselves in terms of what's going on. The Oxford City Council is committed to cleaner, greener Oxford, and part of expanding the recycling facilities means that they can do more of that, surely.
They're expanding the Marsh Depot to expand their paid-for services. They do things like MOTs for taxis. They are offering their services to the wider public. These services should not be in a residential area. They should site them outside the city, and I appreciate they've had difficulty finding a suitable site, but that doesn't give them permission to expand into protected open space. We're very deficient in facilities in this area. We've already had threats to Temple Cowley Pools, which is closed but we're still fighting for. Barnes Road have lost their community centre to be replaced by a tiny room. We've lost the William Morris Sports Centre, and we're about to have trouble over the East Oxford Community Centre. So Labour-run Oxford City Council are planning to take away even more of our public facilities when we have an increasing population who need more leisure services, not less.
And surely, though, by expanding into privatised facilities, they're actually going to be saving money for people overall and lower the council tax.
There are plenty of other spaces they could resite the depot. There's empty space on the Oxford Business Park, which is not far from here. There's the post office site, which is at the top of Hollow Way, which is empty. They could move there. This is not the only site that they could use, and we are totally against any further encroachment into the park. The site the depot is on was taken from parkland originally and has not yet been restored, and according to the local plan will be taken over for housing. We don't want any more of this to happen.
So this here is obviously green space, and the other sites you're talking to are brownfield sites?
Yes, they are.
Okay, but presumably the council would have to pay for those?
They would have to pay for those, but that's too bad. It shouldn't be destruction of leisure services for any price.
So Judith, I mean, this is a very nice green space, it's got some wild flowers growing in there, but surely it hasn't always been like this?
No, until a couple of years ago, this used to house the children's play equipment. It was moved to a more open space in the centre of the park, which is much more windswept, on the grounds that surveillance in this area was more difficult and that surveillance in the open area was easier. This area used to be viewed from the houses on the other side of the driftway until the City Council allowed the trees to grow, obscuring the view. It's still very well surveyed from people walking along the footpath, people playing on the tennis courts, and as you can see there's trees obscuring the children's current park, which is in a very windswept open area, unlike this very peaceful, quiet, sheltered area.
So we know that the council has very, very long-term plans about doing things. I mean, Temple Cowley Pools, for example, was destined for closure from about 2000 when they decided that was the thing they wanted to do, when Labour was under threat over at Blackbird Leys. So here, do you think there was some long-term plan that they thought, yes, we'll move the children's play area and then we'll be able to encroach over here?
Now that the planning application has been submitted, yes we do, because it all ties in. This is an appropriate area that is right next to the depot if the depot wished to expand. And as far as they are concerned, they think it's out of sight, which it isn't. It's a very well used spot, and again we're going to totally oppose their application. But yes, we suspect now that the children's play area was moved deliberately to a new site away from the depot boundary so that the depot could say that this was an underutilised, unused area, which is not true.
And this all fits in with the wider plan which was announced at City Executive Board about 3 years ago from memory, where they were going to close down the Horsepath Road site or this site here, Cowley Marsh, and just move all the works onto one space.
That was the original plan, and the depot still say that that is their intention. Their current argument is that they can't find a site big enough to put the two facilities together. But even with the expansion here, they're not putting the two facilities together, they're simply expanding the Marsh depot a little bit. It's not going to be big enough for all the services in one site.
So it's just expanding for the Cowley Marsh Works services as opposed to everything?
It is, so that they can take in more recycling, etc.